The Atlanta Braves pitching staff combines for a two-hit shutout as they take Game 3 of the World Series over the Houston Astros by a score of 2-0. And now the Braves hold a 2-1 lead in the World Series. We'll recap that great pitching performance and break down all the key plays from Game 3 on this episode of Locked On Braves.
Hey, this is Stacey Gotsoulias,
DC Lundberg,
Ryan Finkelstein,
Taylor Blake Ward,
host of Locked On Yankees,
Locked On Mariners,
Locked On Mets,
Locked On Angels,
and you're listening to Locked On Braves.
Locked On Braves,
Locked On Braves,
part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your favorite teams every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on Twitter at ShortstopBall. Check out my bio there to see everywhere I am covering the game of baseball, including the Atlanta Braves, over at TomahawkTake.com. Also, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And please make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. Again, getting that YouTube page going for the World Series. So posting all of our World Series content there. So make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. And thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and we are free and available on all platforms. So as I said at the top, the Braves win Game 3, 2-0 over the Houston Astros and take a 2-1 lead in the World Series. Just a really entertaining, really hard-fought, stressful type game. It seemed like the game was hanging in the balance on every pitch, which is what you like and is very different from what we saw in the first two games of this series. But a very stressful evening, but one that the Braves will gladly take as they come out victorious and grab the lead back in the World Series. And the pitching was brilliant in this one. Ian Anderson had a no-hitter through 5 innings. And then the big four finished it off, went to Minter, Jackson, Matzik, and Will Smith to finish things off. We'll talk a little bit later about the decision to pull out Ian Anderson, but he was terrific, gave the Braves exactly what they needed with him going 5 innings in this one. The offense wasted some opportunities to really break this game open after they took a 1-0 lead in the third. But TDA had a big homer in the 8th inning, which gave Will Smith a little bit of breathing room for that save. But let's break it all down, starting at the beginning. We'll go through the entire game, and then we'll look at some of the players of the game, some of the key stats from the game later on. So just starting at the beginning, first off, it's very evident the weather was a pretty big factor in this game, I believe. And I talked about it on my pregame show, the fact that I thought this would be a low scoring game, possibly the lowest scoring game of this World Series. I thought it would be the tightest game we see of this World Series. And that proved to be true, although it was even a little lower scoring than what I thought it would be. But the weather conditions were not great in this one. I think both pitchers were struggling with their command, especially early on when the rain was coming down. There for a while after the first, it seemed like every time Ian went out there, it was raining. And every time Luis Garcia came out, it wasn't. It had stopped. But for the most part, after the first inning, things did really calm down. But especially early on, it seemed like the weather was affecting both pitchers right there. Ian Anderson walked 2 batters in the first inning. Luis Garcia should have. There was a check swing on Eddie Rosario that the home plate umpire decided to call himself, even though Rosario clearly didn't go and he didn't even ask for help. I'll say this off the top, and I don't want to get into it too much, but we've seen some bad umpiring in the postseason. The Braves specifically have. You can check the umpire scorecards. It's been very one-sided against the Braves in the postseason. This umpire was just bad all around. I mean, it was bad for both sides. There were just some calls, some ball strike calls in this game that were just mind-blowing that he made. I mean, this was by far the worst umpiring behind the plate that we have seen all postseason, from not asking for help on the Rosario check swing, which there was a lot of close check swings that the Braves had in this game. That one definitely went against the Braves there. I think they got all the rest of them right, but mainly it's just the ball strikes from the home plate umpire were just incredibly horrible and just way off. So again, I don't want to make much of it. I don't think it played a factor one way or the other because, like I said, it was bad for both sides. There were some key calls that went against the Astros in big moments, and same thing for the Braves. That one, especially to start the game, felt kind of big because, obviously getting that leadoff runner on is huge, and that call didn't go the Braves' way and kind of hurt their momentum there in the first inning. But back to the main point, I think the weather was a big factor for these pitchers early on. I think it was the factors for the hitters too. We're just, we're cold. I mean, it was a cold, rainy, dreary kind of game that typically does slow down the bats a little bit. And that's why I predicted that this would be a low scoring game. Ian got a big double play after he walked the leadoff batter. Got a big double play from Michael Brantley. Michael Brantley has been killing the Braves in this series, but this was not his best game. And that was a big moment there to get that double play, a comebacker to Ian, and credit to him. Oftentimes you see that pitcher get the comebacker and he sails it into center field, made a good throw to Dansby, who was able to catch it and make the turn. But that was a huge double play for Ian there to help him get out of the first inning when he clearly was struggling with his command. And then things were really kind of quiet, even though both pitchers were again struggling early on. I thought Luis Garcia actually had the better stuff early on, but both pitchers really were kind of settled in after that. But then there's a big play that happened in the bottom of the second that's probably worth mentioning. It's probably not something you're going to see in the box score or even really talk about, years from now when you think about Game 3 of the 2021 World Series. But Travis Darno got a 2-out double in the second, that seemed harmless at the time. But the Astros decided to intentionally walk Dansby Swanson, which with the way Dansby Swanson was swinging in this game and really the last couple of games, that's a questionable decision on its own. But they decide to intentionally walk Dansby Swanson to get to the pitcher, and they do get out of the inning. Ian Anderson does strike out, and they strand both of those runners there. But that proved to be a huge play in the game, double by Darno, because it led to Rosario leading off the third inning. And the Braves got to have their leadoff hitter lead off in the third inning. And the announcers even mentioned at the time, how big that was. And it proved to be the game, really, because Rosario leads off that third inning with the walk. He gets the check swing going his way at this time. And then Freddie Freeman does what Freddie Freeman does best. He shoots the ball over the shortstop for a single. Ozzy Albies continues to kind of let me down in this postseason in big moments. It wasn't his worst at bat. It was actually a really good changeup from Luis Garcia that struck him out at the bottom of the zone. But he doesn't come through there. He gets the strikeout. And then Riley starts off the at bat really bad, swinging at a pitch down and away. But then he gets a mistake. Luis Garcia throws a breaking ball. It stays inside enough for Riley to get his bat around on it, and he pulls it down the third baseline just out of the reach of Alex Bregman. I didn't even know until they showed the replay later in the game that Bregman actually got his glove on that one. So that was a really close play there, but a big swing by Riley to give the Braves the lead. Felt huge at that time, obviously, and we didn't know what was going to happen the rest of the game. But, that ended up being, essentially the run that stood up the rest of the way. So that was a huge at bat there. And it should have been a lot more, could have been a lot more. Soler worked a walk after that loaded the bases with 1 out for Adam Duvall. And Duvall had one of the better at-bats of the night against Luis Garcia his first time up, but his second time up was just terrible. 3 pitches and a pop-out. Wasn't able to drive in that runner from third. Just a really bad at-bat there from Duvall and a missed opportunity. And then Travis, who had the best swings of the night for the Braves, wasn't able to get it done there either. He strikes out, ends the threat, gets Luis Garcia out of that jam. Dusty Baker actually had the bullpen up that inning. He had Yimi Garcia up, ready to come in. I think if another base runner would have reached, Dusty Baker probably would have gone him a little bit early. That may have changed things there in the middle inning. Obviously, the Braves get another run there. I think that changes how Dusty uses the bullpen the rest of the way considerably, but doesn't happen. Luis Garcia is able to get out of that jam and escape. Comes back out for the next inning, faces Dansby and the pitcher spot, and then Dusty pulls him. Doesn't want him to face the order a third time through, which seems to be the way both managers are playing it in this game, or decided to play it in this game, whether that was right or wrong. Like I said, I thought Luis Garcia had really good stuff. So I thought that might have been a mistake there by Dusty to bring him out there. Again, at the end, it probably didn't make much of a difference other than the Astros had to burn a lot of their bullpen, got a lot of innings from a lot of pitches from Yimi Garcia there, who's probably unavailable for Game 4 now, I would think. But just a little note there. I thought that was a questionable call by Dusty to pull out Luis Garcia right there. That long delay in the bottom of the third, mixed with the rain picking back up when Ian went back out for the fourth, I thought he was starting to struggle with his command a little bit after he had been really solid in the second and third innings. He did get the first two batters out, but again, I thought his command was kind of all over the place. I think the Astros hitters helped him out a little bit. But then he walked Alvarez with two outs, and then he hit Correa. A ball just wasn't even close, and it brushed his jersey there. But then he was able to settle down, get Kyle Tucker to ground out. Kyle Tucker came up in some big spots in this game too. Just wasn't able to come up with a big hit. So he's able to get out of that jam. And then he came out back for the fifth and had a really quick inning against the bottom of their order. And at that point, I thought Ian had earned the opportunity to come back out for the sixth. But Snitker decided to pull him there. You saw him with the handshakes in the dugout. And so let's discuss this for a minute, because it obviously was a hot topic during the game. Obviously, things worked out, but there also could be consequences in Game 4 because of what Snitker did here. So again, Ian Anderson rolling, hadn't given up a hit. I still didn't think he was particularly sharp, so I kind of understood him pulling him. I had said before I saw that they decided to pull him, I would let Anderson come back out and let it be batter to batter with him, meaning that, let him come back out. If he lets a runner on, gives up a hit or even a walk, then you go to the bullpen there. You go to Minter and make sure you shut it down, because it was a 1-0 game. The margin of error very slim. But I did think Anderson was struggling with his command throughout the night, but clearly the Astros hitters weren't picking him up. Not a lot of hard contact against him. So I would have sent him back out there and again, let him continue to go until he put a runner on. I think he earned that with what he did in the fifth inning. But Snitker decided not to do that. He saw a path to victory with Minter, Jackson, and Matzik and Smith rested and ready for those last four innings. So I can't fault Snitker there either. But like I said, this could have consequences going forward. You now give the Astros hitters another look at the Big Four and the Braves bullpen. And with the bullpen games for games 4 and 5, you really didn't want to have to use those guys if you didn't need to. So we could see it, be in effect going forward in the series for the next two games. Again, I don't think it's an egregious call by Snitker to pull Ian Anderson there, especially now that they get the win and things worked out, but could have trickling effects in these next two games. The offensive side of things didn't make it easy for Snitker. Like I said, a 1-0 lead. The margin for error is very thin. The Braves had 9 runners left on base through the first 6 innings of this game. You really felt like that was going to come back and bite them, as again, they clung to that 1-0 lead. They finished the game just 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position with those 9 left on base. So you really didn't have the offense put this game away like they should have, which maybe would have allowed Snitker to stick with Anderson a little bit longer, or maybe, use a different reliever instead of one of his high leverage guys. But you got to remember, this is also the World Series. You got a chance to go for a win. You do what you have to do. You use your best bullets. So I'm not going to fault Snitker for that at all here. He does bring out Minter for the 6th, and Minter looked really sharp until he plunked Bregman in the foot, which on a cold night had to hurt. But then he came back, struck out Alvarez twice. One of the worst calls of the night was the first pitch breaking ball to Alvarez. Yes, I know Minter missed his spot by a good 2 or 3 feet, but that ball was right down the middle. So Minter came back and actually struck him out twice there. But he does get out of the 6th, and again, looked really sharp as he has all postseason. And then Luke Jackson has a good 7th inning. Actually questioned whether or not he should bring back Jackson out for the 8th and try to steal a couple of outs for him against the bottom of their order. But the Astros had some pinch hitters coming up, so the right move there to go to Matzik. Although Matzik does give up the no-hitter on a bloop single from Aletmus Diaz. Yeah, that's who you ticketed to break up the no-hitter there. But Aletmus Diaz gets a bloop single that probably should have been caught by Eddie Rosario. Braves fans know it's a little tricky out there with Rosario at times, but this is the ball he probably should have caught. I think he got scared of Swanson running out there a little bit, but that was clearly Rosario's ball. He's got to call him off and go for that. Jose Siri came in and pitch ran. With 2 outs, he stole second. Could have been a pretty easy out if that throw is on the money in the air, but as it was, it skipped by Dansby. I think the wet grass there played a little bit of a factor in there as it really skid right past Dansby. I mean, he just whiffed on it altogether. The ball went into center field, and Siri took third with 2 outs. Matzik started off that at bat with a slider down and away for a ball to Brantley. He came back through 3 straight fastballs to Brantley at 99 miles an hour and got him to pop up to get out of the inning. Matzik just continues to be unreal. I mean, his defense essentially placed the runner at third base for the Astros, and Matzik just calmly gets out of it against one of the better hitters in that Astros lineup in Brantley. So just continues to get it done. And then going in the bottom of the 8th, we were talking about it in our Tomahawk Take group chat. Will Smith come back out for the 9th? I know he's been good in the postseason, but felt really sketchy with Bregman, Alvarez, and Correa coming up. So when TDA hit that big insurance homer in the 8th to make it 2-0, that made the world of difference. And that ball was absolutely destroyed. Hit 112.6 miles per hour off the bat, went 437 feet. And that was a huge moment in the game. Gave the Braves a 2-0 lead. Like I said, gave Will Smith some breathing room, which he would need because Bregman beat the shift to start the 9th. Took the ball the other way through the vacant right side of the infield. But then Smith settled down after that, got a couple of weak outs from Alvarez and Correa. Alvarez swinging at the first pitch, popped it up to third base. Correa hit it pretty hard right to the center fielder, and Tucker hit it pretty hard as well. Almost got to the warning track in right center field, but 2 swords Heredia there for the final out to finish off the game, and the Braves get the 2-0 victory to take the 2-1 series lead. We'll take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about these standout performances from this game and talk about Game 4 a little bit as well. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Built Bar. Did you know that Built Bar has so many delicious flavors that there's something for everyone? If you haven't explored all the different flavors at Built Bar, you are truly missing out. From coconut to mint brownies, salted caramel, German chocolate, and my favorite, cookies and cream. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you can get a mixed box where you'll get 2 of each of their 9 flavors. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they're healthy too, ranging from 17 to 18 grams of protein, 130 to 180 calories, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Built Bar is also the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCKEDON15, and you'll get 15% off your next order. Use promo code LOCKEDON15 at checkout for 15% off at Built.com. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at BetOnline.ag. BetOnline.ag is back and better than ever. A new web interface for the start of basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus from basketball, football, baseball, postseason, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so I wanted to do something a little different and kind of give you my players of the game for this one. And Ian Anderson is the obvious first star in this game. I mean, just unbelievable. I talked about it again in the pregame show. You needed to get at least 5 innings of Ian Anderson of 2 runs or less, and he did much better than that. Again, I didn't even think he was his sharpest in this game, but made some big pitches when he needed to. That second and third and fifth inning, I thought he was really sharp, getting ahead with that fastball and then putting batters away with that changeup. Again, it's so easy for what the game plan is for Ian to be successful. It's not always easy to execute. I'm not going to say that, but when he gets ahead with that fastball and he's locating it up in the zone and into righties, it really just makes that changeup so much more effective. And you saw it against these Astros hitters in this game. Again, struggled a little bit with the command, had the 3 walks, but again, didn't compound that with any hits in this game. Was able to go 5, give the Braves some good length in this one so they didn't have to burn the bullpen with a couple of bullpen games coming up. Had 4 strikeouts, so not a ton of strikeouts, but this Astros team doesn't strike out a lot. But again, just kind of had them off balance, making weak contact all throughout the night. So again, was a very good outing for Ian Anderson, a big outing that they desperately needed in this game from him. So I thought he was definitely the standout player of the game for me in this one for the Braves. And then on the offensive side of things, it's pretty obvious as well. It's Travis Darno, not only the home run in the 8th inning that added to the lead and gave Will Smith some cushion, but that double that he had in the 2nd inning, I'm telling you, that was huge. That was a key play in this game. Don't forget about that double and what it meant for the 3rd inning. Again, he had another ball pretty hard in the game as well, but right at Gurriel. His only bad at bat was that strikeout with 2 outs and the bases loaded. But other than that, TDA was really big in this game. He's really had some big at bats in the World Series. We were really concerned about that thumb and how much it was affecting his offense. He also was really better behind the plate tonight. I had mentioned the fact that it did look like he was able to frame pitches as well as he has in the past, and you wondered if the thumb was part of that as well. But even on a cold night, I thought he did a much better job of receiving pitches. Got some borderline calls from umpire that was all over the place. Blocked a huge ball in the dirt when Siri was on first base. I know he ended up getting a third later anyway, but big block from him. He's been really good behind the plate this postseason. So really good game from TDA. And then my third star goes to Matzik. Again, just continues to be unreal in big spots in the postseason. Like I said earlier, the Braves defense essentially handed the Astros a runner at third base. There's nothing that Matzik did wrong in that inning, and he just calmly relaxes, throws 3 pitches at 99 miles an hour, and gets one of the Astros' best hitters out in a clutch situation to end the threat there in the 8th inning in a 1-0 game. So Matzik just continues to be, in my mind, the best relief pitcher in all of baseball in the postseason right now. You could also mention Rosario, too. He was my honorable mention in this one. He should have been 1 for 2 with 2 walks. The hit he had, it was an 0-2 pitch. It was pretty much what Cody Bellinger did to Luke Jackson in that Dodger series, except the pitch was away, so he just took it the other way for an easy single ball that was at his head, and he just went up and got it and just squared it up. Just shows you how hot he is, how well he's seeing the ball. Again, should have had 2 walks in this game. That first inning check swing, he did not go, got the walk the next time around. So a good Rosario continues to be really good atop the lineup, being a table setter and getting on base. The Braves hit the ball really hard in this game. They had 8 balls that were hit 99 miles per hour or harder. The Astros had 3 such hits in this game, and all of them went for out. So a little bit of luck there on the Braves side in this one, although only one of them had an expected batting average above 100. The other 2 were just dug into the dirt, or one of them was dug in the dirt. One of them was a pop out. But the Braves had some really hard hits. I mentioned the home run that TDA hit was 112.6 miles per hour. Freddie Freeman single was 111.6 miles per hour. Jorge Soler hit one 110 miles per hour. Ball in the hole at shortstop that Correa made a good play on to get him out. Riley's double was 104.7 miles per hour. So Braves hit the ball really hard in this one. Unfortunate they only came up with the 2 runs, but still hitting the ball hard. That's good. Gotta cut down on the strikeouts. That was a serious problem early in the game, especially with runners on base. They got to cut down on those strikeouts. It's really hurting them, again, with runners in scoring position. So something they need to work on. Let's move forward a little bit to game 4 now. Like I said, I have a bullpen game in games 4 and 5. So like I said, having to use Minter, Jackson, Matzik, and Smith, I didn't think any of them were really overtaxed in this one. So I think all of them would certainly be available in game 4 if needed. But who's going to get the ball to them? That's the question, right? And as we record this on Friday night, we still don't know who's starting. Obviously, once we do, I will do a game 4 preview on Saturday to get you ready for that one. But it is going to be curious to see who's on the mound, what kind of link they can give them. I'm going to assume it's either Kyle Wright or Tucker Davidson. I'm going to guess Kyle Wright. And I think if you get 3 innings out of him, maybe an inning or 2 out of Jesse Chavez, somewhere in there. And if you have a lead, then you turn it back over to the big 4 at the back end. I think that's got to be the game plan. But the Astros are throwing out a bullpen game. Well, I say it's a bullpen game. They have Zach Greinke on the mound. He hasn't thrown a lot of innings here lately, but I imagine Dusty Baker is going to ride him as long as he can. Greinke, obviously a veteran pitcher, one of the better pitchers in the history of baseball. So he could come out with a gem at any point. I would not put it past him. But the Braves hitters in this bullpen game, they've got to come out hot. They've got to put out some big numbers and kind of relax the pitching staff and make it a little bit easier on them and make it easier on Snitker than they did in Game 3, where it was just stressful the whole way through. But that will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Follow me at Shortstop Ball. Make sure that you subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Like I said, I'll be back on Saturday with a Game 4 preview episode, and then obviously we'll be back after Game 4 with a full recap of that one. But the Braves take Game 3. They're now up 2-1 in the World Series, and we'll be back for Game 4 tomorrow.